Dear friend, you're sitting there now, maybe in your favorite chair, sipping coffee or tea, wondering what life has left to offer. At this age, we've seen so much: births and deaths, laughter and tears, triumphs and regrets. Some days it feels like all that's left is memory. But let me tell you something. There's still so much ahead of you if you choose to see it. I'm writing to you today because I've lived a long time, 90 years. And while I don't have any grande secrets to eternal youth, trust me, I wish. I do have stories. Stories about moments I'd give anything to relive. Not because they were perfect, but because they taught me things I wish I'd known sooner. And here's the thing. You can still find those moments, even now. Life isn't over just because you've turned 60, 70, 80, or 90. In this letter, I want to take you through 6 of those moments. The ones that haunt me, inspire me, and remind me how precious every breath truly is. But more than that, I want to show you how these lessons aren't locked away in the past. They're waiting for you right now, ready to be rediscovered in ways you might not expect. So settle in, my friend, and let me share the first few with you. The first moment I wish I could relive happened on a summer afternoon when I was barely 20. I remember standing by the lake with Sarah, the girl who would later become my wife. We were young then, full of fire and foolishness, and she asked me a question I'll never forget. "What are you afraid of?" I didn't answer her honestly, not really. I laughed it off, said something about spiders or heights, anything to avoid the truth. The truth was, I was terrified of failing, of trying and falling short, of putting myself out there only to be told I wasn't enough. Back then, I thought fear was something to hide, to bury deep down, where no one could see it. What I didn't realize until much later was that fear isn't the enemy. It's the teacher. Every time I ran from it, I missed an opportunity to grow, to love, to live fully. Now, as I sit here reflecting on that day by the lake, I think about how many chances I let slip away because I was too scared to take them. Maybe you felt that same hesitation, that voice whispering, "It's too late," or "What will people think?" Let me tell you something. It's never too late. Whether it's starting a new hobby, reconnecting with an old friend, or simply saying yes to an adventure you wouldn't normally consider. The door is always open if you're brave enough to walk through it. Fear doesn't disappear with age, it evolves. But so does courage. And trust me, courage looks good on you. The second moment comes from a rainy Tuesday evening decades ago, when my son came home crying after losing a big game. He was 10 years old, heartbroken, convinced the world had ended. Instead of comforting him, I gave him advice, practical, logical stuff about practice and perseverance. What he needed, though, wasn't a pep talk. He needed his dad to sit beside him to say, "I get it, that stinks." Looking back, I realize how often I prioritized solutions over presence. It's easy to do, especially as we accumulate responsibilities and wisdom. We think our role is to fix things, to make everything better. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer someone, a child, a spouse, a friend, is simply being there, listening without judgment, holding space for their pain without rushing to fill it with answers. This lesson matters just as much now as it did then. As we grow older, our circles may shrink, but our connections deepen. There's beauty in slowing down, in letting go of the need to do, and instead focusing on being. Have you ever sat quietly with someone recently, really listened without planning your response or offering unsolicited advice? Try it. You might be surprised at how healing silence can be, for both of you. And then there's the third moment, which takes me back to a tiny bookstore in Paris during my 50s. I was traveling alone for the first time in years, finally free of obligations and schedules. In that little shop, surrounded by shelves of foreign books I couldn't read, I stumbled upon a painting tucked between two novels. It was small, unremarkable to most people. A simple watercolor of a street lamp glowing against a dark sky. Something about it spoke to me, and for reasons I still can't explain, I bought it. That painting hangs in my study now, a reminder of a decision I almost didn't make. When I held it in my hands that day, I hesitated. Was it worth the money? Would anyone else even notice it? But something inside me whispered, "Take it." And I did. Over the years, it's become one of my most treasured possessions. Not because it's valuable, but because it represents a choice I made to honor my own instincts, however small. How often do we ignore those whispers, dismissing them as silly or impractical? Yet they're the threads that weave meaning into our lives. Whether it's buying, a painting, taking a detour on a familiar road, or pursuing a passion project you've always dreamed of, listen to that quiet voice within you. It knows more than you think. And remember, it's not about making monumental changes. It's about embracing the little joys that make each day richer. These moments, the fear I ran from, the presence I neglected, the instinct I followed, are pieces of a puzzle I'm still putting together. They remind me that life is made up of countless small decisions, each one shaping who we are and who we become. And guess what? Those decisions aren't behind you. They're still ahead of you, waiting to be made. But that brings us to something else I think you'll find even more helpful. Because while these reflections are important, they're only part of the story. There's another layer to this journey, a deeper understanding of why these moments matter and how they connect to the bigger picture of our lives. Stay with me, dear friend, and we'll explore that together next. Dear friend, as we continue this letter together, I want to take a moment to thank you for staying with me. Life is busy, even at our age, and the fact that you've chosen to sit quietly and reflect alongside me means more than words can say. Let's keep going, shall we? There's still so much to share, so many moments that shaped me, and might shape you too if you let them. We left off talking about those small decisions, those whispers of instinct and presence that ripple through our lives in ways we don't always notice until years later. Now let's dive deeper into two more moments I wish I could relive. Not because they were perfect, but because they taught me lessons I carry with me every day. These aren't just memories. They're invitations to see your own life differently, to find meaning where you least expect it. The fourth moment takes me back to a chilly autumn morning when I was 62. My wife, Sarah, had passed away just a year before, and grief sat heavy on my shoulders like an unwelcome guest who wouldn't leave. That morning, I woke up feeling particularly low, convinced the world had lost its color forever. But then something unexpected happened. My neighbor knocked on the door, holding a plate of homemade cinnamon rolls. Now, I'd known Margaret for Years she lived across the street, always waving as she watered her flowers or walked her dog. But we weren't close. We exchanged pleasantries, sure, but nothing more. That day, though, she didn't just drop off the food and leave. She stepped inside, sat down at my kitchen table and said, "Tell me how you're doing." At first, I tried to brush her off with the usual platitudes. "I'm fine, it's getting better." All those lies we tell ourselves and others to avoid vulnerability. But Margaret wasn't having it. She leaned forward, looked me straight in the eye, and said softly, "No, really, how are you?" That question broke something open in me. For the first time since Sarah's passing, I allowed myself to cry. Not politely, not quietly, but fully. Margaret stayed with me, listening without judgment, offering tissues and quiet murmurs of understanding. By the time I finished, the weight on my chest felt lighter, less suffocating. What struck me most wasn't just her kindness. It was the power of connection, of letting someone in when you feel utterly alone. Looking back, I realize how easy it would have been to turn her away, to put on a brave face and send her home. But by opening the door, literally and figuratively, I gave myself permission to heal. And isn't that what we all need, especially as we grow older? Someone to remind us that we're not invisible, that our pain matters, and that we're worthy of love even in our darkest hours. If there's one thing I hope you'll take from this story, it's this: don't shut people out. Whether it's family, friends, neighbors, or strangers, relationships are lifelines. They anchor us when the storms hit and remind us that we're never truly alone. Maybe there's someone in your life right now, a friend you haven't called in months, a relative you've grown distant from, or even a neighbor whose name you barely know. Reach out, say hello, ask how they're doing, and mean it. You never know how much a simple act of kindness can change both their day and yours. The fifth moment brings me to a sunny afternoon in my 70s, when I decided to try something completely new: painting. Now let me clarify. I am not an artist, never have been, never will be. But after retiring, I found myself restless, searching for something to fill the empty hours. A local community centre offered beginner art classes, and on a whim, I signed up. Walking into that classroom for the first time felt ridiculous. Everyone else seemed to know what they were doing, while I struggled to mix colours without creating muddy, brown disasters. The instructor, bless her heart, patiently guided me through the basics, encouraging me to focus less on perfection and more on enjoyment. Slowly, I began to relax. It wasn't about making masterpieces. It was about playing, experimenting, and rediscovering the joy of creation. What surprised me most was how transformative that experience became. Painting gave me a sense of purpose I hadn't anticipated. It challenged me to think differently, to see the world in shades and textures I'd overlooked before. More importantly, it reminded me that learning doesn't stop when we grow older. In fact, it becomes even more vital, a way to stay curious and engaged with life. I often wonder how many opportunities I missed earlier in life because I told myself, "I'm too old for that," or "I'll never be good enough." Here's the truth. You don't need to be good at something to enjoy it. You don't need to excel to benefit from trying. Whether it's painting, gardening, writing poetry, or learning a new language, the act of exploring keeps your mind sharp and your spirit alive. So ask yourself, What have you been curious about lately? What dreams have you tucked away in the corners of your heart, thinking they're too late to pursue? Dust them off. Give them a chance. You might surprise yourself. These two moments, the connection forged over cinnamon rolls and the discovery of creativity in a paint-splattered classroom, are reminders that life continues to unfold in beautiful, unexpected ways. Even when we feel stuck, even when the road ahead seems uncertain, there are always opportunities to grow, to connect, to thrive. But before I finish this letter, there's one more moment I need to share with you. It's perhaps the most poignant of all, the one that ties everything together and reminds me why these reflections matter so deeply. Shall we turn the page together? Dear friend, here we are, nearing the end of this letter, and I hope you found some comfort, or maybe even a spark of inspiration, in the stories I've shared so far. Writing to you feels like sitting across from an old friend, sharing memories over cups of tea that never seem to grow cold. It's a privilege, truly, to reflect on these moments with you, and to imagine how they might resonate in your own life. We've talked about fear and courage, presence and connection, curiosity and creativity. Each of these threads has woven its way through my 9 decades, shaping who I am today. But there's one final moment I want to share with you, a moment that ties all the others together, that reminds me why it's never too late to live fully, love deeply, and embrace every opportunity still waiting for you. The 6th moment happened just last year, when I turned 89. My granddaughter came to visit, bringing her 2 young children with her. They're lively little things, full of questions and boundless energy, and watching them play in my garden brought back floods of memories. Memories of my own children running barefoot through the grass, chasing fireflies on summer nights. As I sat there, sipping lemonade and listening to their laughter, my granddaughter leaned over and asked me a question that caught me off guard. "Grandpa, what's the best thing about being your age?" I didn't answer right away. The truth is, I had to think about it. There are challenges that come with aging, of course, aches and pains, losses and regrets. But there's also something profoundly beautiful about reaching this stage of life. After a long pause, I told her, the best thing about being my age is knowing what really matters. And it's true. At 90, I've learned that life isn't measured by achievements or possessions, but by the moments that make us feel alive. It's the warmth of holding someone's hand, the joy of watching a child discover the world, the peace of sitting quietly under the stars. These aren't grand gestures. They're simple, everyday miracles, and they're available to all of us, no matter our age. What struck me most during that visit was how much I still have to give, not in terms of money or advice, but in presence, in love, in the stories I carry within me. Those children may not remember every word I said, but they'll remember how I made them feel. Seen, valued, cherished. That's a legacy worth leaving behind, don't you think? Now, as I sit here writing to you, I can't help but wonder, what legacy do you want to leave? It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as simple as passing on a family recipe, teaching a grandchild how to knit, or sharing a story from your youth. Legacy isn't about scale. It's about heart. It's about touching lives in ways that ripple outward long after we're gone. But here's the thing. Legacy isn't just about what we leave behind. It's also about how we choose to live now. Every day is an opportunity to create something meaningful. Whether it's mending a broken relationship, pursuing a passion you've neglected, or simply taking a walk and marveling at the beauty around you. Life isn't over until it's over, and until then, there's always room for growth, for love, for wonder. As I bring this letter to a close, I want to leave you with one final thought. You are enough, right now, exactly as you are. You are enough. You don't need to accomplish more, earn more, or prove anything to anyone. Your worth isn't tied to what you've done or what you haven't done. It's inherent, unshakable, infinite. So, whatever dreams you've been holding on to, whatever fears have been holding you back, know this: it's never too late to take that first step. Whether it's picking up the phone to call an old friend, signing up for a class, or simply stepping outside to watch the sunset, the possibilities are endless. I'd like to invite you to share your thoughts with me. If any part of this letter resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Tell me about a moment you wish you could relive, or a dream you're ready to chase. We're all in this together, learning and growing alongside one another. And if this letter spoke to you, I'd be honored if you shared it with someone you care about. Let's keep the conversation going. Before I go, let me say thank you for reading, for reflecting, for being open to the wisdom that comes with age and experience. If there's one thing I've learned in my 90 years, it's that life is richer when we share it with others. So, take care of that beautiful soul of yours, and remember, the best moments are still ahead. Until next time, your elder friend.